Hello, and welcome back to the Beyond Resistance Pod, where we share hard-won insights to build blue power and red communities and start winning. I'm Sarah Schultz.
And I'm Jennifer Austin.
Hey, Jennifer, how are you doing? And what are you fired up about this week?
Okay, first of all, I'm sick. So, for those of you who can see this podcast and see the little chipmunk looking thing in my cheek, like I'm hoarding seeds, it's cough drops. I won't be able to talk if I don't have a soothing cough drop.
It's the season, right?
Yeah, and if you hear it, if I'm talking and you hear it rattling around, I'm very sorry. That's just, sometimes you just gotta go with it. So here's what I'm fired up about. And I'm trying to find the best way to couch this because it also applies to something locally that's been going on. And I don't want to talk about the local.
Okay, but thanks for the warning. I'll stay away from the local.
But somebody that I follow on Threads posted something about this is the exact reason people in politics don't take leftists seriously. Now, I do take leftists seriously. Please do not come after me. I am a leftist. I am progressive. Now that I've got all the caveats out of the way, I am criticizing my own people, just so we're clear. Somebody posted something about the Democrats need to get out of the way so actual leftists can do the job. We don't need any Israel supporters on the left at all. Also, I don't agree with that particular statement, but regardless. And I have said that there are a whole lot of establishment Dems that I think need to get the fuck out of the way and let us get on with changing the party. The Amanda's mild takes is the one that I'm quoting here. She responded, "You're not entitled to a political party's infrastructure. Get elected and do actual work and earn it." And I was like, oh yeah, that kind of applies to some of the stuff we've been talking about here locally, but
yeah,
I'm progressive. I believe in progressive policies, and they're going to have a better chance of happening in super blue areas, in areas like where we live, where it's purple.
Yeah.
We have to couch our belief systems a little bit more to get Democrats elected, because that's better than having a Republican. That's the compromise we have to make. And like that, Amanda's take there was, really spoke to me of stop with we are entitled to this party. Mm-hmm. No one is entitled to this party. The party is made up because of the votes, because of the people, because of, the Democratic elected people. And if you don't like how it's being run or you don't like the policies, then fucking change it by doing it the right way, not expecting everybody to just step aside and let you have your way. That's just not how that works. So that's what I'm fired up about.
Yeah, I hear you. I think somebody said recently something that was like, if you're progressive, then the only way to see actual progress is to win. You have to win elections in order to have progress. And you can't just sit around and scream from the very, 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 very far left all the time and not work to get folks elected in order to actually make change. And getting folks elected, especially in communities like ours that are used to be red and they're, tenuously holding on to our blue power and moving in a blue direction, can't come out as, entirely fully on the very, very left end of the spectrum and expect to maintain that momentum or get it started. And that's a hard pill to swallow, right? Because there's an ideological truth in all of that. And obviously there are issues and topics that are, non-negotiable in that space, right? Things like reproductive justice and, LGBTQ rights and, those rights that are tied to people and their humanity. And in order for the progress to happen, we have to be able to find amazing candidates that are electable in our communities, and we have to get them elected. And we can see incremental and even big change that way. But, Yeah, I like that. I like that concept of like you're not entitled to the infrastructure of this party that's
Yeah.
existed for hundreds of years.
Mm-hmm.
And I worked for a nonprofit for a number of years, and one of the guiding principles of the nonprofit was you don't come here to work for us, you come here to work on us.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's our job as progressives and, Democrats in general, right? The members of the big tent, whatever label you want to put on it, to work on it. And we complain all the time about all the challenges with the Democratic
Yes.
Party. We're not, Kool-Aid drinkers. And we also know
Yes.
that it's so important in red communities. We're trying to build this blue power, we're trying to get this progress to actually have a strategy that's going to get wins to build toward the progress. Because otherwise we're going to climb up our mountains or on top of our high horses. We're on mountains on horses. We're going to be up there all by ourselves yelling,
Yes.
to the void, but we're not going to actually see the progress that we need to
Yeah.
see. And God, the stakes are so high right now. So it's hard. It's hard.
Yeah, and that's just to add to that. That's why at first, so there's groups that are pretty far left, and I support them. I share their social media. I retweet. I like. I comment. I do all sorts of stuff to support them. And I don't so much have a problem. And I think that their main purpose is to push the party left. And I support that.
Yeah, me too.
What I don't support them coming in and criticizing our Democratic electeds that we worked so hard to get. You don't, if you have never lived in a red area and never been represented by a Republican, you don't fucking know what it's like.
Yeah.
And I can get really heated on this one. I have always been represented by a Republican until 2022. And I am 50 years old. So do not come into my community and start criticizing I will criticize my Democrat.
Yeah.
I will do it in a way that will hopefully help them. I will talk to them. I will write to them. I will whatever. I do. Just so you know, everybody out there, some of you are going to guess what kind of some things that I'm talking about. I call them. I call their team. I ask questions. And then I try to explain the situation to other people. I do that actively because I don't want to lose my Democratic representative.
Yeah.
But to have somebody from some other community that has zero chance of ever being represented by a Republican criticize my Democrat, just back the piss off and let us handle it.
Yeah.
Okay, there I'm done.
And I would just say, like, it doesn't seem like Republicans are equally conflicted in this space, right? They don't seem to have this like ideological, mental like conflict going on with their candidates or their positions and things. They basically fall in line. Like maybe they have to suck it up like personally or whatever. And we seem to have a lot of ideological like cognitive dissonance that we don't need to have. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Worth being fired up about. I'm sure like the postmortem on the 2024 election, leading into the 2026 election will offer up no end to the amount of opportunities to have the same conversation.
Sure. Yes. And I guess I would just, last thing, before you try to get clicks at the expense of a Democratic representative, think about the effect.
Yeah. Great.
That's all. Just think about the effect.
There are plenty of groups out there who people will cut screenshots of like headlines from these very radical super left groups, and they'll text them to me and they'll say, Sarah, like this thing about this representative, what's going on here? And I'm just like, oh, like here's the context that they're obviously not sharing because they're like trying to get clicks. That's what's going on here. And let me tell you, and at the end of the day, maybe you disagree with whatever this story was about, but like the context is important and the headline is meant to be as provocative as possible. For money, essentially. Like that's what it comes down to. So anyhow, that's worth getting fired up about for sure. Well, what I'm fired up about is actually, I don't know if fired up is the right word. I'm like, I don't know what the right word is. I feel very heavy today. What I'm like burdened by, uh, some mornings I get up and I hear the news and it's never good, but like it's sometimes it just like rolls off me. I'm just like, oh, that's where we are today. And then sometimes it just feels like there's just this accumulation of things that I just can't ignore anymore. And today was one of the latter. Um, just the shooting in Australia, which kind of like, I don't know why it doesn't really matter, but like whenever there's a shooting that I have a connection to,
Mm-hmm.
then it just hits different. And Bondi Beach is a beach that I went to several times in when I was in study abroad in college, and I took surfing lessons on Bondi Beach, and I went to a naked surf contest. I did not participate in it, but I went to a
I'm like,
naked
oh,
surf
damn, are you
contest
kidding me,
there.
Sarah?
Yeah. Um, and so like it's a place that had this like these really joyful memories in like a really critical time in my life. And so like I think because of that it kind of hits a little differently, not that it's any more tragic than any other shooting anywhere else, but um and then the Brown University shooting, and then we're hearing about the suspected homicide of Rob Reiner and his wife, and uh, that it was likely perpetrated by their son, and that just like is just makes my heart so heavy. Uh, and it's all of that, and then like in the middle of all of it, then you start to see screenshots of Trump's response to Rob Reiner's murder, which was just like God, I mean, it should not be, it's not shocking. We shouldn't like allow it to take us off course or whatever, but it's just like, it's just another like low that this human is going to. And it's just, I mean, he basically like blamed it on Trump derangement syndrome without any like
He's
understanding of what
unhinged.
did it and
Yeah.
what actually happened. And it's just all about him. And then he used it as a reason to say like how great he is and how great his presidency has been. And it's just like, my God, where are we in the midst
Yeah.
of all of this leader who should be like this inspirational world leader that we should hold to the higher standards than everyday people or kindergartners essentially
Mm-hmm.
is doing this. And I know it's like the 100 millionth time he's done that, but today just felt like
Yeah.
what the fuck, like just we're
It
just
definitely
so far away
felt,
from decency.
yeah, it definitely felt like I, I don't know why, but like it felt that way to me too.
Yeah.
Like I went to bed, knowing about the Brown University shooting, and then literally I woke up and like that was one of the first things I saw was about as I pronounced it Bondi Beach, but what is it? Did you say it was
Bondi Beach.
Bondi Beach? Saw that absolutely tragic and horrible, and just like yes, like you said, that heaviness of like you've got to be kidding me. This is what we're doing. And then I woke up this morning and I know Rob Reiner's death didn't occur like it had, but I just first heard about it this morning.
Hmm.
And I was just like, oh my gosh, you got to be kidding me. But I guess the solace is we'll always have Donald J. Trump to give us some great words after
Yeah,
something horrible like this happens, that we can really take to our hearts and have solace and grace and gratitude that someone like that is leading our country.
exactly. Exactly. Yeah. And the undercurrent of this too is like, there's this conversation that's happening all the time now, if any tragedy right away, which is like, who's to blame? Is this a
Yes.
left thing or a right thing? So on all of these, like Brown and Bondi Beach and the murder and all of that stuff. And then there's also like a thwarted terrorist plot for New Year's Eve or something that there's news
Hmm.
about kind of later this afternoon. And so it's constantly like we can't just like sit in the like tragedy of it, we have to also hear like who did it? Who do we blame? Can we blame Trump? Can Trump blame us? Like what's, what are we going to say about this? And it's and to top it all off, I don't trust the FBI anymore. Like I don't
No.
actually trust our standards of government to tell us the truth because it's all politicized. And so like it's just maddening. It's just like it's unsettling. The word of the day for me that I posted earlier is disquieting. Like it just feels like there's just a disquiet and it's been around for a long time and then it just kind of spikes every once in a while and it's just killing us. I mean, it's just anyway, that's how I'm feeling. Can't even use the word fired up. I'm just like
I know.
something. I'm just
And just to put a little point on that conversation, I read a statistic that there have been 389 mass shootings in the United States this year. There are only 365 days in a year. This is the second year that has happened. That there are more mass shootings than days of the year.
Yeah. And
on that heavy note.
Yeah. I mean, there were also students at Brown University who had experienced a school shooting before. This is literally like their second school shooting. And
and then they're not the first ones.
Yeah.
Like there have been other shootings this year where it has been that kid has experienced another one.
I remember that there was a student at MSU who who was there when that shooting happened, who had also been part of the school community at the Oxford shooting in southern Michigan. And so I mean, it's just, I don't even know. I'm disquieted. I'm not fired up. I'm disquieted.
People's first or second amendment rights are so much more important than somebody else's life, but
somebody else's life and just like our kids' just ability to exist without being afraid they're gonna get shot at whatever. Like I didn't grow up like that. I didn't grow up with active shooter drills and it's just one generation that's happening and now it's happening multiple. It happens so much that people can experience that multiple times.
And I don't know, I'd have to follow up and find out what the story is about this. But I've noticed on all of our schools in the area, there are numbers on every door and window from the outside from now. And I feel like I've also seen that at other schools because we go to a lot of schools for swim meets. I don't know exactly what it is, but I guarantee you it has something to do with law enforcement, firemen, paramedics, etc., being able to identify what window or what door that they need to go to.
Oh, it is. When they put those numbers up, the school district sent out a notification telling us that that's exactly what that is. It's about security. That's what
which I probably got and didn't read. So
yeah, but I mean, yeah, your instincts were correct on what that's all about. Yeah. Anyhow. Okay, so on that note, I don't even know.
I hope everybody's having a good day today.
Anyways, so Jennifer and I wanted to go back to our fabulous blueprint as we're in, and I think we can hold all of this when we talk about the fifth step for building blue power, which has to do with what we call movement mindsets, right? And I think like this whole conversation up until this point has been about like, how do we, craft just whatever like mindset or peace of mind or head space we need in order to continue to do this work. Because it's all about a movement and it's all about like, it's the metaphor of like we're literally running like several marathons back to back and we have to hold on to some really important principles. And I really love, this is my favorite step of all the steps in the blueprint because I think that these types of like mindsets or guiding principles can really help both shape what you do and the decisions that you make, but it also can help you like know, like ground you into what you want, what you are going to do next, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
So the first mindset that we would offer anyone out there who's looking to start their movement to build blue power in a red community is go big or go home. Jennifer, do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Sure. So this is your thing. I have developed my movement mindsets because of Sarah. So when I stepped into the Democratic Party and activism and whatnot, I was looking to just be a foot soldier, just looking to do my little part. And the more I got involved, especially with Sarah's campaign, and then like when I became the chair, I did a lot of like learning the job first. So I don't even know if I had a movement mindset at that time. I was just like survive. But definitely having like Molly involved and then you and Elena and all of these people that were involved in your campaign, it really helped to think about how, we would try something big. Like we decided to do a blue gala. The Midland Dems had never done a big blue gala. We spent a lot of money on it. And it was a little scary because we didn't know if we were going to recoup that money. I think we quadrupled it. Mm-hmm. But maybe the first year we tripled it and the second year we quadrupled. I can't remember. Anyway, point being, if you don't go big, then you're not really achieving anything. If you're just every year trying to achieve the same list of things that the group before you did, and you're never trying to try anything new, it's okay to try something new and fail. I would rather try something new, try something big, fail, figure out,
learn.
Okay, this is what we did wrong, and we can still do this, or nope, we did go a little too big, so let's just pull it back a little bit and figure out what's actually going to work. But you're not going to learn that if you're always doing the same sort of mindset of, here is the list of things this party or this organization or this candidate is going to do every single time, and we don't want to do any more because we know we can achieve this. You're never going to move forward. It's not a movement mindset. You're just doing a continuum mindset, I guess. So that's the thing that like it really speaks to me is that trying new things and trying bigger things than you think you can do.
Yeah. And I really want y'all who are out there thinking about how to build this blue power. We're looking at, whatever, 10 months until the next election. This is the time to be starting to have these conversations, to be planning for what you're going to do, to be gathering folks and talking about action steps. And this idea of going big is scary. It's the natural human response to change is resistance, and going big is change, right? Especially if you are in a community that has always been like very conservative. So just even existing, just even like having your first protest on a street corner feels very big. But the way that change happens is by, making decisions that are bigger than life, that are more than you've done before. Know that like you might fail or whatever, but no matter what, you'll learn. So here's one example that comes to mind for me is this was during my 2018 campaign for State House, and we had to order yard signs. And we were like, okay, design these yard signs, which took a while because we couldn't get quite the right purple. I was very insistent on the right purple. It couldn't be too dark, but it couldn't be pink. It still had to be purple. So it took a while, and we got the design done. It was like, how much are you going to order? And there was like a price point, like a price break between, I don't know how much, like many thousands and then many, many more thousands. So it was something like 4,000 signs that we were like, do we want to order that, or do we only want 1,000 signs, essentially? And we met as a team. And always when we met as a team, we would go through some campaign core principles. And one of them was go big or go home. And we're like, okay, here we are. we got to decide, do we want to invest in these signs or not? Do we want to get 1,000 of them and see how it goes, or do we want to get 4,000 of them and just make it work? And we were looked at, our core principle. We're like, go big or go home. So we made the order for 1,000 purples or 4,000 or whatever it was, purple signs, and they all showed up in the office. And it was like a whole room full of signs. And I can remember going into that room and just being like, oh shit, this was a big mistake. There's no way we're getting all of these signs out. It just looked like, so I'm just like picturing the number of houses that would have to correlate to these signs. And I was just like, whoops, sorry, like whatever. And then we started giving them out, and then we came up with strategies to get them on in yards. And then people started to have like FOMO about not having a purple sign, right? And so they would come into our office and be like, I gotta have a sign. Everybody on my block has a sign, and I'm the only one that doesn't have a sign. And I've never had a sign in my yard before, but I gotta have one of these purple ones. And oh, is Sarah here? I'd like to meet her. And it's just kind of snowballed. And I can remember driving down Washington Street, and it was like literally every house was lined with my signs. And there's an old adage in campaign world that says that signs don't vote. And that's true for sure. But signs do give candidates, especially candidates who are fighting to be the very first of some sort of party or whatever, legitimacy. And so we ended up getting all of those signs out the door. And if we hadn't gone big, we wouldn't have reached that threshold of excitement, and all of that. So that's just one example. We would talk about fundraising, like, okay, what's our goal? Well, what's our stretch goal? Well, what's our stretch goal? And then it was like, okay, fine. I'm not satisfied with just meeting our goal. Like we're going to blow our stretch goal out of the water. Right. And we would every single time, because that was the like go big, that we were going for. And I want everyone listening to know, like, me and my team had literally no idea how to do this. No idea. There was nobody on my team. Yes.
Everybody on your team was a newbie to politics.
Yeah, that's right.
And it's not like there was a campaign manager that came in and was like, I know how to do it. Listen to me. Yeah. And you guys all just followed them. The campaign manager was a newbie.
Yeah, he'd been a field person before in another like campaign, but he was very new. And the reason everyone was new was because we were living in a red area, so there's no way we were going to get and attract like a high caliber campaign manager, because nobody thought we could win. And so and I think in some ways we kind of benefited from that, because we weren't like burdened by all of the like, this is the way it is, or this is the way it has to be done, or whatever. We were making it up based on what was right for our community, and what was, what resources and magic that we had on the team. And so yeah, we went big. And like the end of that story is we didn't win, but we moved the needle by about 12 points in one election. Yeah. And if we had gotten the attention of the state party and just a little bit of support, because they weren't looking at us at all.
No.
Because they didn't think we could win. So I ended up with 48% of the vote, with zero help from the party. And the person before me had the Democrat who ran before me had about 38% of the vote. So,
yeah.
And we move the needle like for the long game anyway. And that's really the whole point. So,
well, and like, just to think about that go big or go home mindset, the go big or go home mindset got you to order the signs. But then the presence of those signs got you and the team to take action to get those signs out in yards. So had you had 1,000 signs instead of 4,000 signs, you wouldn't have done all of the things that you did to get those out there, and you wouldn't have moved that needle as many points.
Yeah, absolutely. And it like helps to like galvanize like the excitement around a project. And no matter what, even if we had totally failed and that room is literally still filled with those signs all this time later, we would have learned a lot.
Uh-huh.
And sometimes in these red communities with people just getting off the ground trying to build blue power, there's this like who do they think they are mentality.
Mm-hmm.
There's just like, the Republicans own this county, and so you don't get to have yard signs or whatever, and you just got to be like, nope, like we're just as much right to be here as anyone else. We can protest on the street corner just like any other citizen in the country. We can have really good candidates and run them, and maybe they'll win or maybe they'll move the needle, but that's better than not having really good candidates. We're gonna, show up and lay the wreath at Memorial Day, just like any other, legitimate group in the community. And I think that like a lot of times, we had generational like control by Republicans here for so long, that I think Democrats kind of thought that we didn't have a legitimate right to take our rightful seat in our community. And part of going big and going home is literally just stepping into your power.
Yeah.
So that's one. I think a couple other mindsets that we kind of hold on to and we've talked about some of these in the pod before, but just like being clear about what your values are, right? And standing firm in them, even if you're gonna like have opposition, even from within. Just being clear about those kinds of things and like showing up as authentically as possible. And
because you're gonna get, I mean, and I think you experience this, you're gonna get that we have our place in this community as Democrats. It's not the place you think it is, Sarah. So you just sit back, little girl.
Yeah.
And you just do what we tell you to. We don't have that place in this community. And you said no. I'm going to make my own place in this community. And that was the mindset. And that ruffled some feathers.
It did internally. Yeah.
And there's still feathers being ruffled from different decisions that you or I have made or participated in, because we do have that go big or go home mindset, or that let's take our place in the community or whatever.
That's right.
So be prepared to ruffle feathers, and quite frankly, feathers need to be ruffled.
Yes. And some feathers stay ruffled for years.
Yes. Some feathers never unruffle.
There's no unruffling of some feathers, and that's totally fine. That's something that I think we've talked about too, is just like you don't get in this business to be loved by everyone, right? And like that's hard. That's hard for women in particular to like have people who don't like them. We're people pleasers, our culture instills that in us from the time we're born. And it's okay if you're not liked by everyone, if you're not loved by everyone. And the first time that happens, it's hard, and it gets easier, right? It gets easier. I mean, I think that, there's, and that goes also along with not just standing in your values, but like showing up in super authentic ways. And this is, this comes with practice, right? But like trying to be over rehearsed, trying to like stress about every single word you're going to say. Trying to like, wear clothes that aren't like really, don't serve you, or like, I don't know, just being schmoozy in spaces that like is gross or whatever. I think authenticity is really important, and that goes along with really like true from the heart storytelling, and then also really true like listening to other people's stories, which is so important. And just trying to figure out what your authentic voice is as a leader or a candidate or a change maker in your community is really important too, as a mindset.
Probably one of my favorite parts of this particular step, this page of the blueprint, is the idea of living in abundance. And that can mean a lot of things, but to me, we've talked about this. It's like There's always more volunteers. There's always more money. There's always more voters. There's always more you can do. And that, I'm not saying like kill yourself to get all this done, but just don't assume that that's all you can ever do. If you want to
Yeah.
go bigger, it's still with the go big and go home, or go home, but don't just assume that because Republicans have always gotten 70% of the vote in this county. Well, maybe that's because nobody's ever really challenged them. Maybe
Yeah.
that's because nobody's ever run against them, or if they have, it was just like a name on a ballot, which happens. We ask people to be names on ballots sometimes in districts that we know we can't win in. Don't assume that you cannot move that needle. You can. It's going to take a lot of work.
Yeah. The idea of abundance is interesting. Like the opposite is scarcity, right? So if you're like operating from a scarcity mindset, you're like, this is all I have. I got to just like, this is the pie. I just got to cut it up certain ways, right? Versus like, maybe I just get another pie, right? Or make a bigger pie or whatever.
Yeah.
And somebody told me once we were trying to do some fundraising and I don't know, we're just chit-chatting and somebody said, well, the Republicans have all the money. The Republicans have all the money in this community. So like basically like, hey Sarah, like, temper your expectations here. And we've proven again and again that that's just not true. That's just not true. There's ways to get in front of people, to talk to people, to move people, and if you assume that there's scarcity, you assume that this is the pie, and you actually don't try to make that pie bigger, then you're always going to be operating in that same pie and you're going to get the same results. So have an abundance mindset, and obviously there's limits to the universe or whatever, but like same with volunteers. I can remember people saying you'll get 5 people to come to do whatever thing, and I would be like, no, 40. Like we're gonna get 40.
And then you get 60.
Would. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, then we would get more than 40 because that was our stretch goal. And so yeah, I think that holding that idea of abundance, along with going big, along with being authentic, along with kind of standing in your values, it's a good recipe for like, really having the foundation that you need to be able to do this work.
And making space in your movement. I would rather get 100 people giving $5 than one person giving $500.
Absolutely.
Because those 500 or those 100 people giving $5 also might want to volunteer. And to me, that speaks more than the total amount of money. You still raised a shit ton of money, but regardless.
Yeah.
But it's just like that whole idea of like making a place in your movement, whether it's through donations, volunteerism, making it accessible to people, making it realistic to people. That is as important to moving the needle as winning in the end.
Absolutely. And like somebody coming and giving you $5 could mean as much as the next person giving you $500. And both should be celebrated at the same level. Yeah, for sure. And what I would recommend doing if you're kind of listening to this and you're like, okay, I'm like working to build Blue Power and we're trying to get some people together and okay, these mindsets sound really good, is to be intentional about them, right? Like I'm not saying like hold these mindsets in an abstract way and let people just like figure out that this is what we're doing. I mean, literally sit down with your team and be like, what are the mindsets that we're going to hold as we do this work? Here's an idea. Go big or go home. Let's talk about that. Okay, do we agree to that one as a mindset? Yeah, we agree to it. Put it on a poster and carry it around. We literally had this stuff on posters that we would carry around. And if you're intentional about that, there's no reason it has to be like subversive. Like you can actually name these things and then use them. Just be like, oh, here we are. We're here. We're at a decision-making point. What would our like mindsets or our guiding principles, like how would we live into those things by making this decision? And it can really help you do that and help kind of just build, common sort of understandings around what it is that you're trying to accomplish with your people.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that intentional part. That's true, because you can have all the mindsets up here for listeners. I'm pointing at my head. But if you don't articulate those to your team and then utilize them to determine how you're going to go forward, then they don't mean anything.
Yeah. And I'm reflecting on the last pod, which we were talked about very like concrete technical things, like the Facebook stuff and the Excel and the data. Like this one is more cerebral. This is about mindsets, and like this is about like more academic. They're equally important in my mind, right? This is not like the fluffy end of the 5 steps. This is like super, super critical to unlocking what it is that you need to do.
I don't think that you can build blue power in your community without all 5 steps.
Yeah, I agree.
If you're missing any of the steps, or you're like, that doesn't seem important to me, you're missing a big, huge part of this. This is stuff that we've truly used. And whether you use all of it or part of it, you've got to use parts of each step.
Yeah, agree. Yeah, we were very intentional again about building this blueprint. All right, well, that about does it today. Jennifer, here's my my fun question for the end. Since we're talking about mindsets, I'm wondering if you have any like quotes or sayings that you kind of hold on to personally that help you kind of go through life. Anything like that?
I have a bazillion, and I feel like most of them are from movie quotes, specifically Lord of the Rings. There's a lot of good quotes from there, but I'm not
so many good quotes.
I know. I saw one. Oh my gosh. Okay. I am totally getting distracted, but I got to tell you this. I almost took a screenshot and sent it to you, but I'm like, she's busy. I'm not going to bug her. Some lady put on social media, like, I texted my husband when I was in the driveway. I had just gotten home from the grocery store. Gondor calls for help. And the husband texted back, and Rohan will answer, and came out and helped bring the groceries in. I'm like, that is true love.
Absolutely.
Oh my gosh.
That's so good. Oh my gosh.
I loved it so much. But anyway, I can't remember. Like, I know that the White Wizard has had several, quotes that like really spoke to me, but and I'm not a very religious person. I used to be, but I'm just not as much anymore. But I had the serenity prayer on my desk for many, many years. God grant me the serenity, accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And while I still have it, it's in my closet. I mean, like, it's visible. It's like on a little desk in my closet. While I don't really participate in religion anymore, the core of that I still think is extremely important, to know that I cannot change everything, but I'm for sure going to try to change some things, and I do want to have the wisdom to know the difference.
That wisdom part is the hardest part.
It sure is.
So hard. So I have this piece of paper that's right by my desk. And I'm gonna see, like, you can tell if for those of you watching,
I'm like trying to turn my head trying to read.
Very bad handwriting, as you can tell, but I can read it. So I like keep a catalog of things that inspire me, and I put it up on my desk. And one of the quotes that I just love is from Rumi, which is "Walk and the way will appear." And I just hope that I can like live my life like that, like that I can just feel confident in like my mindsets, my skills and abilities, my community and my friends and my family, that we all have what we need in order to find the way, even if it's foggy and we can't see it. So we just have to like start down the path, and then the way will appear, and maybe like half of the way will appear, and then the rest of it will come. But I really love that quote because I think that's important to not be like frozen, with not being able to see the end of the path, and being able to just kind of start walking and keep walking.
Yeah, I think that's a good one, and I think we've used it for this podcast.
Yeah,
because we were not I mean, we knew things that we wanted. We knew that the goal was to help people build blue power. We did not know what the path was. I'm not sure we still know what the path is, but
no.
We are walking forward.
Yep, it's becoming more clear as we keep walking,
with confidence.
Yep, that's right. That's right. All right. Well, I think we're ready to kind of finish up for today, but thanks so much for listening. Check us out on our website. It's at beyondresistancepod.com. And all the places you can find your podcasts. And we'll be back next week. This is the Beyond Resistance Pod, where we share hard-won insights to build blue power and red communities and start winning. And we'll see you next time.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
You can listen to the Beyond Resistance podcast on all major platforms. Leave us a review to boost this episode and help us reach more blue dots and red seas. Follow us on social media and like, share, comment to increase our reach. Subscribe to our Patreon and gain access to our private Discord channel and make monetary donations of support through Venmo. You can find all of this and more at beyondresistancepod.com. Beyond Resistance is a Beyond Resistance LLC production. Producers Jennifer Austin and Sarah Schultz. Editing Jennifer Austin. Theme song We Run the Room by Shadow Kitten.